Welcome everyone. The topic for the day is social responsibility. We will be talking in details actually what has been meant by social responsibility of the corporate world altogether, and we'll talk about the individual responsibilities. Right. So, being socially responsible means what? Means that the people and organizations are in working in tandem with one another. They have to be in synergy with one another. They have to behave ethically and be sensitive towards the requirement of each other, both of the societies and of the corporate bodies. So, we are talking in terms of social, cultural, economical, and environmental issues that are the touch points in social responsibilities of a corporate entity. So, social responsibility, does it mean that it is only corporate responsibilities or corporate entities look out? No, I think it is a lookout or a duty for every individual. Must maintain a balance between an ecosystem, environment, and the economy out there. Striving for social responsibility is basically striving for a future generation, ensuring a sustainable development. It means to have a positive impact on the development, the business, and the society at all cases. So it pertains to the business organization, but also whose any action can impact the environment and the ecology at the same time. So basically, it means the responsible can be passive by avoiding engaging in socially harmful activities or active by performing activities that are not at all detrimental to the environment, in fact that are beneficial to the environment, protects the environment in the long run. So that is what social responsibilities is all about. It talking about it, we have just the four dimensions that needs to work around it. What are the four dimensions? These are legal, ethical, economic, and philanthropic. Remember, philanthropic is a discretionary option that comes around it. It is out of your own wealth, own earned wealth, that you distribute it to the less fortunate in the society that we are in. So, legal dimension. Let us understand what is legal dimension. It is basically talking about civil laws and criminal laws. Now, it has the duties and responsibilities of each individual. Remember, that is what we are looking at it. At each individual's their rights are to be protected. They are to be treated with dignity. Human beings that we are looking into it. So, and what that does, how does it differ? It differs from the criminal laws or the organizational criminal laws. So, basically, it means to prohibit certain actions, certain things that are detrimental to the society at the large cases. So how do we go about it? Now, an organization cannot be detrimental to an individual people. It is detrimental to the environment at large. It is responsible for being pollutant, emitting pollution, not controlling the effluents, the bad impact that it is pushing onto the environment. So there has to be fine, there has to be imprisonment, there has to be responsible people has to be taken for it. Nowadays, we are also talking of incorporating the carbon footprint under the legal. So we spoke about legal dimensions. What are ethical dimensions? Ethical dimensions are all about behaviors and activities. Remember, the behaviors and activities that are detrimental to the environment should not be encouraged. This is the responsibilities of each and every person that inhabits this planet, be it of the community or the society at large. The standard norms and expectations that reflect the concerns of the majority of the stakeholders. Remember, we are here not going to spend a one lifespan, but probably for our species that is going to succeed or be successful for generations to come. And by generations, I mean per a number of centuries or possibly a number of thousand years that would be coming in the futures altogether. So we should protect the environment the way we received it as much as possible. Economic dimensions, how resources. The economic is all about making productivity, making profitability. Now, in the view of making target profitability, what happens is at times we make a compromise or we take shortcut which is basically harmful to the environment or society at large. So this is what needs to be pinpointed. We need to be sustainable in our practices. Consumers always favor socially responsible companies. This is one thing that needs to be talking about it. Only making money should not be the criteria. Being responsible to the environment, ecology must count. Then comes the philanthropic dimension. This is where I have already said to you people about the disbursement of the wealth that we are looking into it. We have to set what can be spoken about it, what can be done to the society for the people at large who are, let's say, at the receiving end of the society altogether. So talking about it, we can have the charitable trust, we can have the Microsoft company that goes around with such kind of dimension that comes around it. So let us come to the pyramid of social responsibility. First is the discretionary, wherein we all should be responsible or drive to be a good corporate citizen. That means we are contributing towards the community and improving the quality of life. In terms of ethical, we should be ethical in our outlook, in our behavior, in our thought process altogether. So that means what do we do? We do only what is right, what is just, what is fair. Avoid any kind of detrimental activities. Then comes the legal things. Now, what is under legal things? It means following the law of the land. Absolutely. It is law is a society which certifies black and white activities. So let us play by the rules. Then comes the economic activities is to be profitable. Now that is where we need to understand we should be profitable, but not at the cost of the ecology, not at the cost of the environment, not at the cost of the flora and the fauna. We must protect them and take every species along with us in the journey of being profitable. So, talking about corporate social responsibility is nothing but how business is being responsible towards the society at large, towards the environment at large altogether. It ensures that there are nothing, no pollution being emanated, or even if there are been pollution coming up, it takes adequate measures to plant enough trees so that it can be offsetted by the good impact that it creates around it. So that is what we are looking out here. Corporate social responsibility, often denoted as CSR, is all about citizenship behavior, responsible behavior from a responsible business house, organization obligations to make decisions and take action. This is what is very important. In fact, nowadays we are seeing a lot of government across the countries are levying taxes, or should I say incentivizing, if for corporate social responsibility, if they demarcate a certain amount of profit and plow it back to the society or to the environment. So what are we encouraging them to become a good corporate citizen? And more often than not, there are organizations who are voluntarily taking further steps to improve the quality of work life, not only for their employees but also for the concerned people who are living within the vicinity of the organizations altogether. It is all about the local community and society at large. We are speaking about only corporate responsibility. What about ISR? ISR is individual social responsibility, wherein your actions, my action, does count, does impact the environment. Remember, we can make an impact in both positive and negative connotation. The immediate circle being family and friends. There can be an argument about how to include these things. There might be a lot of apprehensions about it, as how can a single individual, or let's say a couple of individuals, make a difference. We are all working towards it. Believe me or not, every drop counts and every drop is added to make an ocean full of water. So that is what individual personal responsibility is all about it. By promoting proactive stance towards the positively influencing and affecting people with environment outside your immediate circle. ISR, or individual social responsibility, is the crux, is the foundation of corporate social responsibility. Individual social responsibility is the conscious which creates or manifests into the actions of corporate social responsibility. Remember, business houses is made of its employees. No matter it is the employees' goodness or the badness or the ill will which will determine the corporate's outlook altogether. So that is what we are looking out altogether. So, talking about social responsibility strategies, there are four things that we can talk around it. They are social oppositions and social obligations. Similarly, there is something called social responses and social contribution. What are they? Opposition and obligation in terms of societies, responses and contribution of societies altogether. So we will be talking about social obligation. Now these oppositions are taken by the business houses who prioritize profit over environmental concern. That is what social opposition is all about. It in no matter where they work around it. Social obligation believe that they need to work within the framework of a constitution, or should I say the law of the land. Now this is where social responses comes around it. Positions taken by the company. Let's say there are many companies who are into mining industries altogether, which actually basically are plowing out minerals from the planet altogether. Now there are companies who are planting trees around it, planting forest around it, so that whatever detrimental things that they are doing in the process of churning profit, they are offsetting it with in another area by planting more trees and things like that. So this is purely voluntary altogether. Comes social contributions taken by companies which they believe they have an obligation. Remember, a company can get profit only when there is a society existence. If the society cease to exist, how will the company going to make profit? So it makes sense for the company to plow back a part of the profit into the society so that the society also flourishes. So, reason for social responsibility. Business enterprises are creatures of society and should be responded to the demand of the society. If the management does not react to the changes in social demands, the society will force them to do so. Otherwise, we all of us look, every one of us are holding the hand. It is in your success, the success of my lies around it. We need to understand that every one of us, every one of an individual, forget individual, every one of the species, forget species, we are talking about each flora, each fauna, every living beings are somewhere entangled with one another. The perishment of any of the species will impact inadvertently to all of us. Therefore, for the long term interest of the business, it is best served when the management actually assume the social responsibilities. Talking about it, we will talk about the image. What does the business feel? What does the community believe in about the companies altogether? It is not the quality of the products which we are talking about it is how responsibly they are sourcing it out. What are the expectations that the owners, employees, consumers, government, and at community at large thinks around it. It is always and reaffirm again, it is always better to have a favorable positive image in the minds of the public. So there are three constraints altogether: the society, the environment, and the economy which we are looking into it. These three constraints, if we are there and they are in working in tandem with each other, the society, the environment, and the economy, the business is going to flourish for times to come, for almost as long as you can think around it. If there is a society, the company is going to flourish it out. We need to consider, we need to understand the policies, the action, the after effects of whatever we are doing around it, and based upon it, let us strive to make a responsible, a stable, a strength, a harmony between these three parameters of society, environment, and economy, as the case. Now we'll talk about the recent trends. What is happening in? Look at it now. Business of all is not only impacting the society. It is for the existence of the customers. The vendors are the partners of the business. The owners are plowing in the profit, are looking for the profit altogether. The government is in there in the regulation to provide opportunity to the businessmen, to the owners to operate a business, and in turn provide employment to its citizenship altogether. We are talking about the employees who is earning a livelihood through a business, right? The investors are the person who are plowing in the capital and trying to take up a dividend income or a profit income, and then there are always competition that comes into play. So this is what the responsibility of business to various stakeholders, various interest groups are looking into it. Remember, if we obligate, if we obsolete any one of them, the balance gets disturbs altogether. It is in the interest of the business that we want to work around it. We need to understand everything. We need to make everything into considerations altogether. So that is, so, what are the responsibilities towards the owners? The primary responsibility is to have a reasonable return on the capital. Absolutely, yes, that comes around it. A reasonable rate of return on the capital, and that is the prime reason why a person has invested or initiated a business altogether. He or she now might not have, or I would obviously say so, that they might have spotted a gap in the service delivery, in the value chain, and based upon those gaps they must have initiated a business. But believe me, nothing has been initiated for charitable purpose. At the end of the day, everybody wants to earn their bread in a responsible fashion. Now, what is the responsibilities of employees? Remember, employees are looking for a honest day's labor with a honest day's wages and salary. Nothing else, nothing wrong and out there. They are giving their skill, they are giving their labor in lieu of a decent salary. That what they are asking for it. Fair wage should be fixed, and the labor productivity, the prevailing wage rate at the same of the neighboring areas that comes around it, we are looking into it. Talking about the employers, now this is where we are looking for the diversity. Look at it. We should incorporate every people, every person from different walks of life, their skill, their responsibility, their initiative. It's the diversity that makes an organization as vibrant as possible. There has to be a solid differences in the wage, in wherein a particular minimum wage has been awarded to certain employees, maximum wages have been awarded to a certain numbers of employees, and that should be reasonable, just and fair enough, because they are working in tandem with the certain responsibilities which they are disbursing from their end. So employees are expected to build up, maintain harmonious relationship between superior and subordinates. Responsibility towards the consumers in a competitive market, serving consumer is supposed to be the prime concern of the management. It is the impact, it is the attention of the consumer that every business house seeks around it. You remember, it is for the consumer that the business is into existence. But perfect reality, competition does not prevail in all market. At times it is absolutely monopoly. There is only one firm which is ruling the roost and is not allowing any other competitors to come up firmly. Responsibilities towards the consumer interest groups are thus protected to certain extent, definitely yes, because of the numbers of competition that comes around it. Management should anticipate this development, satisfy the requirements of the customers, and definitely protect the interest there. So, what is towards the consumer that we are looking at? With the consumers, we are liking to encourage this sphere around here of quality, quantity, and distribution. Remember, this is the sphere that I am looking at it. Goods must be at an appropriate quality, at a reasonably price, and adequate quantities that needs to be found out. Management should not utilizes malpractices to hike up the prices, to hike up or to serve inferior quality products and things like. So we have responsibility towards consumers. Similarly, with the government, every corporate has responsibility to get their taxes, because with the taxes only the welfare activities of the government can be initiated. So management should conduct the business in a much fair fashion, and the government has a responsibility to give a decent platform, a just pay. Everything, all the taxes and the dues that has been accrued should be meted out and given a expenditure sheet for it. So business activities must be conformed to the economic and social policy of the government altogether. We come to the responsibility of the community. Remember, this is where we are looking at it. In the absence of community, the business cease to exist. Very many times I wanted to stress upon it. So it is in the interest of the business houses that the community should be vibrant, should be happening, and should be growing. Now, remember, in the community, there are people from diverse kind of interest and diverse kind of background. People might be specially able. people might be extremely talented. So we know we society has a mix of people. These things should be initiated and should be actually amalgamated in the society altogether. We should be talking about the community and services as and when we are looking at it. So we should have environmental protection pollutions. We should have setting up the industries. We should be providing to the victims with it. With this, I come to an end of this presentation. Thank you for watching this video.